Spongebob's Atlantis Squarepantis was a game released for Wii, PlayStation 2, GBA, and the DS, and the different versions of it released in 2007 to 2008. Developed by Blitz Games and Ultron, both published by THQ, this isn't to be confused with the lackluster Season 5 episode, but it takes heavy inspiration from it. Instead of being a platformer or a simple action adventure like most other SpongeBob games, this one is a minigame collection. It ranges from action, simple puzzles, doom, and a special one made purely to torture the souls of the damned. I played the Wii version as a kid, and I really wanted to revisit it to see how it holds up today. So, using a legitimate copy of the game on a legitimate Wii, let's dive into this pretty forgotten game. So, a quick The first level has us control Plankton in his tank as he navigates Atlantis. It's basically what you would expect. We push through the level, shoot some targets, shoot some other stupid ice cream tanks, grab a tub of ice cream to somehow increase our fire rate for a short period, then get trapped in an area through an electrical fence. You may notice how precise and pinpoint my ice cream shots are here. There is no aiming mechanic, it's just based purely on where Plankton's tank is. We bust out, level over. This is by far the most bog standard generic mission this game has. Not a great opener, but it's important to note that these types, and I mean plural, of missions often run the worst, hopefully being reflected in the footage being shown right now. It's also important to note every level features a brief description by Spongebob about what to expect, which I'll be showing when they're interesting. You might have also noticed this timer in the top right corner, which will appear in every mission. I don't know what this is for, my only guess being medals. Oh right, medals. So there are collectibles in each mission denoted by your performance, ranging from bronze to silver to gold, which later let you buy various things from the gift shop back in the menu, like concept art or director commentaries. For moonwalking a tank into the level exit, we earn a bronze medal. Level 2 starts off with this uncanny and terrifying cinematic. Look at Sponge and Pat. What happened to them? I feel like I'm watching SpongeBob in Tehran all over again. Then we are shown this extreme close-up. This is the only time something like this ever occurs and is never brought up again. Why SpongeBob has this Atlantean bubble soap is not explained. And later SpongeBob and Pat wind up in a huge bubble and float through a blank PNG of the original episode into a cave. Gameplay-wise, we start in a haunted cave. Wait, haunted? What? Why is it haunted? This level is a puzzle type mixed with platforming elements. We need to switch between Spongebob and Patrick to navigate this dangerous and for some reason haunted cave. Spongebob can use his spatula to flip stuff and Patrick can throw things. Remember my comment about getting mileage out of the VAs? You can tell the writers for this game cared a lot about Spongebob, as there are a surprising amount of minor references to the show.
Oh, it's heavier than bubble bass!
The dialogue in this game is also another one of my favorite elements. It's completely nonsensical and stupid, but it fits right in with what the game is going for.
It's a good thing that we brought Mr. Ropey along today. Hey, thank goodness we didn't bring Mr. Lead Weighty along instead.
We use Patrick to throw Spongebob to new areas, and we use the sponge to flick open gates. This could be a problem, hold on. We quickly figure out how to use the legitimate motion controls to continue. Climbing down the cave, we get another similar segment, this time with cannons that fire Spongebob or Patrick across the level and hopefully out of here, because I'm so tired of this level. We trek deeper and do multiple subsections that go on for far too long, and that make me very sad until we uncover the first half of the Atlantean Amulet. For sacrificing 23 minutes of my life that I will never get back, we earn a silver medal. Level 3 is the first real one I remember as a kid, but first we get to sit through another amazing cutscene. You might notice that Mr. Eugene H. Krabs sure does sound weird, at least when he does speak. So for some reason I'm not sure of, and incredibly similar to Battle for Bikini Bottom, Clancy Brown was seemingly unable to voice Mr. Krabs in this game, so the most you will ever hear from him are some grunts and sound effects. Somehow I never noticed this as a kid. SpongeBob and Patrick will wind up in the museum. With an ancient, priceless artifact from a lost civilization, what should we do first? Yeah, we decide it's time to snap some pics for our Instagram and show off how we know real art. This is the first pointer type of level, which features us as SpongeBob snapping pictures of different pieces at an art museum. And we also throw food at the underpaid employees because they keep saying to pull up my pants, and streaking is not a performance art. This is an auto-scroller as well, so we have to be quick with our camera. We walk around and snap pics of different sections of the museum as we continuously shoot museum goers, art employees, and the local security team. I love the small references here and there, such as having the mounted head of an Alaskan bullworm on display, the Flying Dutchman also on display for some reason, and a reference to Season 3's UGG.
I think I'll call them Spongegar and Patar.
We photograph all the notable and cool art pieces and see some statues of Squidward and Sandy for some reason. For over 50 counts of vandalism and at least 40 counts of aggravated assault, we rightfully earn a silver medal. I remember as a kid this one being a lot tougher than it actually is. Now is also probably a good time to talk about difficulty. There is none. Level 4 begins with Squidward realizing we have the other half of the amulet, and Sandy wanders into the plot to deliver some exposition about going to Atlantis. The now fully formed amulet fires a laser into the sky and summons a magical flying bus that our party uses to get to Atlantis. Only one problem: it needs music as fuel. Thus marks the worst mission in the game at the moment, hands down. Instead of top-down puzzles, tank fights, or flash photography, we get to play a slow, drawn-out rhythm game. Each character gets their own segment, starting with Splitward with an easy section of playing his clarinet. We earn a score of 3 out of 3 by a mute Mr. Krabs, and then we play Sandy's segment on a guitar. Say what you will, but at least this segment has some active music to keep me engaged like the low attention span baby I am. Still, it's pretty easy, and we get a 3 out of 3. SpongeBob's section is him singing, but is actually him just yelling randomly repeated quotes over a rock ballad. At least Squidward looks happy. We bribe Krabs for an easy 3 out of 3, and finally we have Patrick, who kinda just stands there and jumps around without any musical instrument. His repeated lines really start to grate my innocent eardrums, and for the first and definitely not last time, I consider muting characters in the game. Krabs sympathizes with me as well and gives me a 3 out of 3. Finally, level is over. Nope, you forgot about Sheldon J. Plankton, you silly absolute idiot, who in the glove box just kinda paces around in a circle. Krabs gives him a 3 out of 3. Wait, Plankton's supposed to be hidden and lying in ambush, so how does Krabs know he's there? Even the automated robot assistant on board recognizes Plankton's music, so his presence is known to all on the bus. For the biggest plot hole that completely breaks my immersion, we thankfully earn a gold medal. God, I hate this level. It's not even bad, it's just so incredibly slow, and you can clearly see the lack of budget that affected this, mostly with the non-stop quips of the characters, except Mr. Krabs, who I believe has realized what a B-tier game he is in and refuses to even humor it anymore.
But if you would turn
Level 5 starts with Patrick failing his singing prompt, completely going against my amazing performance, thus shattering the tiny fragments of any immersion left, and as well, shattering the bus. Immediately as we start, I vividly remember this level. I remember driving around, collecting stuff, and having just a really fun time. And I'm not too disappointed here. Obviously it doesn't live up to my childhood nostalgia, but it's not a bad time. We drive around in the now non-flying bus and collect toolkits to repair it. The gameplay is like a much more refined, smoother, and pacifist-er Plankton tank segment. I want to know just how odd this bus is. It moves smoothly in contrast to everything else in the game. I might just be going crazy, but it feels like the bus is in 60 FPS compared to the 30 FPS world. We drive over some buttons in this one, and get pushed into the sky where we get a fin that allows the bus to now jump. We navigate the huge hedge gardens of Atlantis, avoiding turrets, small tanks, and the Homeowners Association. There's not too much else to add, just pretty short level, but a pretty fun one at that. For learning how to drive a manual, we get a silver medal. For level 6's premise, I think Spongebob explains it best.
Lord Royal Highness. He's the leader of the Atlanteans, you know. Anyway, he's giving us a tour of the palace, but for some unspecified and probably completely ridiculous reason, there are hazards and traps everywhere.
Okay, doesn't sound too bad. Probably just gonna be based off quick reaction times. In the cutscene, we also realize David Bowie doesn't voice Lord Royal Highness, which makes me deeply sad, as this could have been the one element that carried me through this game. Getting into the level, we started with Spongebob, Patrick, and Mr. Talks-A-Lot following Not Bowie across the courtyard. Not a bad intro for honestly like what we're getting. Oh my god, it's another rhythm section. I hate my life. Yep, so we travel across the area again with this boring gameplay that doesn't even align well with the music anymore. After what feels like years, we reach a plant that SpongeBob just assaults for some reason, claiming self-defense.
Patrick, don't you think this tour is great?
I'll rate it 5 out of 10.
Why 5?
Well, it's like the biggest number I know.
Man, that was just way too long, and oh god, there's more. We drop off Krabs in the treasure room and exchange them for Squidward, who we automatically kill because I'm angry at this game design. We continue our walk in the hall, seeing Krabs in the background before we also decide that Patrick is unessential to this story and kill him too. Now left with just SpongeBob, I actually get stressed because if I mess up one more time, I have to repeat this entire section, which I think I'd rather drink some mint instead. I clutch the game and end up in the art hall, having swapped Squid for Sandy. We do pretty well for a bit before Sandy is hooked to heaven and Patrick is dropped into hell, again just leaving SpongeBob. With both of them dead, I make my way back to the science hall, adding a now undead Squidward and a traumatized Mr. Krabs back into my Fire Emblem army. Unfortunately, Sylvaneward does a 5% growth in strength, leading me to bench him. We resurrect Sandy and Patrick in order to torture them more, as we are now in the 5th section of this god-awful minigame. No! We eventually make it to the end somehow and get a bronze medal for the countless sacrifices of wasted lives. Level 7 is all about Mr. Krabs, who we as Sandy use some zapper gun to shoot and steal money from the Atlantis people in the royal court. They take it well and they just let us have it for some reason. This is another pointer level where we try to match combos of different colored gems and treasures. Important note, I suck at this game, and generally I just shoot whatever I see. You'll see why later. This is a fine enough level, but what brings it down is the non-stop dialogue coming from the squirrel. She just doesn't ever shut up.
Just can't argue with Krabs. Mr. Krabs sure loves his treasure. Treasure! 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 Great! These Atlanteans sure are a strange bunch of critters. This treasure's great and all, but it's not as nice as a sunset in Texas.
Here's where I was really clued in on the lack of Clancy Brown. Mr. Krabs just jumps around the entire level. For being literally anything other than the last level, we at least deserve a silver medal. Next up for the 8th level, we focus on Squidward in the art hall. I don't remember this one at all, so I was genuinely surprised when it turned out to be really fun. The entire level just has us quickly inputting button commands as shown, but besides that, nothing else happens too much. I also took notice of how good this level looks compared to everything else. Why is the lighting on Squidward so beautiful? His animations are also really smooth and clean. At the end of each segment of matching button prompts, we get pieces of art involving Squidward, and they're all pretty nice. Similar to the last level, this one is pretty short, so there's not much else to discuss. But what is there is fun, and for me it's the most underrated minigame here. Not like there's much of a community centered around this game in the first place to give it a rating, but I'll take what I can get. For our masters in postmodernism and contemporary urban canvas art, we rightfully obtain a gold medal. Speaking of art, for the 9th level, we find ourselves back in another art museum. This time it's Patrick, whose only goal is to follow in SpongeBob's footsteps and chart his crusade against art snobs who think they know better than me because they guessed the first painting right in Persona 5's Second Palace. Yeah, I'm talking to you. As Patrick, we explore the Atlantis Museum and throw patties at most of the natives there. We also attack some of the guards, which surely won't have major consequences later. After realizing the way to increase score on this specific counter is to throw a patty, then take a picture of these Roomba bots halfway through, I decide to give in to the void and focus purely on defacing this level. I destroy as many pieces as I can find and purposely ignore my camera. We find teleporters scattered throughout the level as well, which we use to shoot even more innocent people. We also find this early version of ChatGPT.
If the planet Mars turns purple, then who is a squirrel?
I don't know. Krabs!
Close enough.
We continue this trek through a level that goes on for a bit too long until we grab a silver medal. The level also ends in the chamber where we find the oldest living bubble, but the next cutscene starts with Sponge and Pat out of the room and just off screen says they popped the bubble, unlike the episode. Level 10 starts off with a cutscene of the Atlanteans declaring war on us because we popped their stupid art exhibit. Gameplay wise, this is another of the puzzle platformer types, except here we get to use more characters, all of which actually feature really cool different abilities. For instance, we have Sandy with her lasso. Okay, we might have a small problem here. After re-examining our legitimate console, we try to map some motion controls, which fails horrifically. Okay, no problem, I have another solution. I go and grab Old Reliable, a Wii U remote with Wii Motion Plus directly built in. Following the steps of how to pair it with our legitimate console, we find the remote doesn't turn on. After cracking open the battery pack, you may discover some interesting parts in there. After replacing the batteries and cleaning out your 10-plus-year-old controller, you may find it doesn't pair at all. After troubleshooting, you may also realize your PC needs Bluetooth to pair to your legitimate console. Eventually plugging in another controller and mapping motion controls to the two joysticks, we are finally able to use motion controls properly in this game. Only took like 2 hours. Anyways, back with Sandy and Spongebob, we utilize Sandy's lasso to pull Spongebob and Bridges to her to platform our way to the door and collect a single paperclip to lockpick this ancient Atlantean door. During this section, we also have to sneak around guards who turn on lights to ambush us. Carefully moving around, we yoink the paperclip and Spongebob just kinda shakes until the door opens. Next stage features Squidward and Patrick. We already know Pat's ability, but we discover Squidward for some reason has the ability to sprint incredibly fast thanks to his extra tentacles. I don't think biology works that way, but I'm not in a position to argue thanks to my complete stupidity with those motion controls. Squid runs out some treadmills and opens gates, and eventually these two idiots manage to escape. We then meet up with Sandy and Mr. Krabs, who is just the funniest walking sound effect. We use his magnetic pockets to grab some cash and escape, catching back up with Runner and Dumber, who we spend a little bit of time with before escaping again. Finally, we get Krabs and Spongebob, which is pretty much just more of the same. For solving a life-old question of how do motion controls work, we obtain the silver medal. This is also one of my most remembered levels, simply for getting to play as each character. The 11th level has us step a little bit back in time and follow Plankton as he breaches the Atlantis Armory, spelled with a U, which invalidates this entire game. We follow another uncanny cinematic where Plankton has realistic hands. Narrator Spongebob tells us Plankton is going to be sneaking around, so it sounds like fun.
The irony that I, the future ruler of—
Wait, why does it have this UI? No. Oh my god, it's another rhythm level. We unfortunately have to guide Plankton with these stupid gameplay mechanics, but is broken up by spots where we get to shake the controller. Thanks to Sandy from earlier, we have mastered this technique. Some of our greatest challenges include carbon monoxide poisoning, getting stepped on, and a patch of kelp. I'm gonna be honest, I did not enjoy this level, so I'm gonna speedrun this segment. It's boring, and that's about it. By selling my soul to never have to play this type of level again, we thankfully earn a gold medal, but it is all okay, as the next level is the entire reason why I made this video in the first place. Level 12, Squidward Super Shooter. This is the greatest memory I have of this game. I replayed this level non-stop as a kid. Compared to every other level where we run or hide from the Atlanteans, we decide to fight back. Picking up Squidward, Sandy arms him with ping pong balls for one purpose: to escape Atlantis or die bringing them down with us. This level structure is similar to the photograph games from earlier, as both are auto-scrollers but allow us to go wild with our attacks. You have a Squidward gun, you can fire it, and you reload it. No complex mechanics and no stupid time-based game, just pure FPS. First-person squid. We shoot our way through the dining room, taking no prisoners, as we pummel these men with ping pong balls, hoping for their deaths. We use this as a way to cope with those dumb timing missions. We fire non-stop, popping each guard multiple times, all accompanied to the style of a spaghetti western. We breach the maintenance room and devastate any and all who cross our righteous path of fury. We clear out a large atrium containing an elevator platform, and after calling it, we begin to rise while mowing down all these pathetic enemy combatants with complete ease. Even with new foes, like this big ugly guy, they all fall like the rest. We return to the dining room and do one final sweep of the room and finally make our way out of the Atlantis Palace. We easily crush a gold medal and would gladly shoot down as many Atlanteans as it would take to fulfill our ping pong bloodlust. 10 out of 10 mission. If you only play one game from this entire game, this is the one to play. The 13th level has us play as Plankton with a tank as one final rush to destroy our main squad. We make our way through each area, blood still boiling with glory from the Squidward Super Shooter mission. Not gonna lie, this mission kinda sucks. It's not bad, but it's really boring, especially as a finale. We teleport into the main storage area of Atlantis and begin to destroy their ice cream reserves to cripple them forever. We crush as many of these puny people as we can and come into contact with their last line of defense, a huge, more powerful version of an ice cream tank. We felt like the rest without issue. For finishing this game, we earn another silver medal. We resume back to the present, where Plankton fires the tank, only to be shocked by the fact it shoots ice cream, which it's been doing this entire game. Yeah, I don't get it either. Anyways, Plankton gets put in the mason jar where he will live a fate worse than death, and Not Bowie sends our crew off, hoping for them to never return. He gives the sergeant the amulet and instructs him to throw it away. We get to watch the ending credits as, oh my god. There are also some bonus arcade games we can play, some of which are locked behind medals. They're pretty fun, but I don't have enough time to talk about them all, so I'll just mention Slurpee Shooter, where you grab blobs and shoot them at other ones, to which I reached a score of just below 2 million in Wave 44. And we also have Parasite Plunge, which features you falling down a limited screen trying to collect these flowers or amoeba, I think, before you reach the bottom. I somehow reached level 20 and a score of nearly 600,000 points. There are some other cool features, such as a commentary by Spongebob himself about the game, or playing alternative versions of each main level, some of which are really fun, or even getting to customize the narrator Spongebob. There's a lot more to do here than expected, and it's actually pretty fun. That was Spongebob's Atlantis Squarepantis, a game I had some memories of as a kid. So, does it hold up today?
No!
Not at all. You can so easily tell this is a semi-rushed licensed 2008 game, but it is a semi-rushed licensed 2008 game made with love. There's so many small references and minor parts that you can just tell the devs were having fun making. Besides the rhythm sections, this is a great way to spend an afternoon if you want, and I'd happily recommend it if you want to remember some old memories. Squidward Super Shooter easily bumps this game up from a 0 to a 10 out of 10 hands down. Thanks for watching.